listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me, non-judgmental talk about infidelity with Dr. Marie Murphy. If you're looking for new perspectives on complicated relationship issues, you've come to the right place.
Days go by, they're crawling by.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Marie Murphy. This podcast is all about expanding the conversation around infidelity. I'm a relationship coach, and I specialize in helping people who are cheating on their partners make decisions about how to move forward that are truly right for them. On this show, we feature tools and guidance from my coaching practice, as well as advice from other professionals whose work pertains to the sometimes complicated business of human romantic relationships. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Susan Wenzel. Susan is a certified sex therapist, relationship expert, and psychotherapist with over 10 years of experience working with individuals and couples and leading seminars and workshops in the United States and Canada. She is the author of A Happy Life in an Open Relationship, a guide to a healthy and fulfilling non-monogamous love life. Susan's work has been featured in the New York Times Magazine, the New York Post, the Oprah Magazine, Men's Health, and other publications. Susan is also a regular guest speaker on various talk shows in Canada. You can learn more about Susan and her work at susanwenzel.ca. That's SUSANWENZEL.ca. Before we get to today's conversation, this episode is brought to you by Marie Murphy, PhD. That's me. I provide shame-free, blame-free, non-judgmental relationship coaching, and you can talk to me about the things that seem too messy or weird or stigmatized to share with your best friend or your spouse or even your therapist, including but not limited to matters related to infidelity. To learn more about my coaching practice or to schedule an introductory session, go to mariemurphyphd.com. Susan, it's wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Murphy, for having me. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. So give us a bit of an overview of what you do.
So I'm a certified sex therapist in Canada, so in Winnipeg, Canada, and I've been doing this work for the last 10 years. I get very excited about it. And I actually became polyamorous therapy or polyamory friendly therapist a few years ago when I myself opened our relationship, or my partner opened our relationship, or initiated our open relationship. And I began this journey of personal growth and navigating polyamory. And so my experiences and doing a lot of research, reading the book have just helped me help other clients who are considering opening their relationship. So I'm excited that we are mentioning or we're talking about this topic.
That's amazing. Since I know people are going to want to hear about this, can you tell us your story of opening up your relationship?
Oh, yes, for sure. So when my boyfriend then, now he's my husband, we were dating for a year and we're so in love. We're excited like any a new relationship. And I thought that it didn't even cross my mind that he would want to be in an open relationship. And one day, I remember very well, it was summertime. We were somewhere having ice cream. He looked distressed, and I knew there was something bothering him. And I asked him, what's going on? And he went on to tell me, I really love us. I really like what we have. But I have a track record that every 2 years, I really start longing for other people. And you are so special, and it always goes bad. And I want this to work. So he didn't even know the word polyamory or any of that. He just was sharing, this is how it has been. As a therapist, I started thinking, oh, you may be polyamorous. It wasn't like that. I was very triggered. I remember I couldn't breathe. And I remember telling myself, do what you ask your clients to do. Take a deep breath, slow your breathing. So it was very stressful in the beginning. It was a roller coaster of emotion that couples goes through, whether they find their partner
Hang on, pause real quick. So what I'm hearing you say is that before this, you hadn't really considered anything other than a monogamous relationship.
That's all I knew.
That's
all I knew for myself. So yeah, this was, I don't know where. So it really took me by surprise, but it's the best thing could have happened for our relationship. For me as an individual, we were chatting with you and you talk about personal growth and working on yourself.
Yeah.
And it has given me that opportunity to work on myself. It was
That's amazing. So
so
just tell us a little bit more about the whole journey. So you're eating ice cream. It's a nice day. Your boyfriend's like, yeah, I have this track record. And you're like, oh my God, I need to take a deep breath. How did you get from that moment to, wow, this is amazing. This is one of the best things that could have ever happened to me?
Oh, it was, I would say, months of roller coaster of emotion. I remember at one point it got so bad. I think we traveled to see our friends in Chicago, and we have never taken train. So we decided, let's take train just for fun, the train. And coming back, I could not stand him. I was so jealous of the people, the person that he was seeing at the time. And I kicked him out. I'm like, I can't handle this. And it wasn't easy for me. And when clients are afraid of those difficult conversations, it doesn't mean it'll always be like that. So I'm so glad that I didn't shy away from those difficult conversations, because I love my life the way it is right now. So it was kind of going through those crises to be on the other side and just stronger, mentally strong. So yeah. Yeah,
That's
but it took a while. I would say 88 months, almost a year of constant working on myself, listening to YouTube, reading as much as I can, podcast,
yeah.
making content, just more aware of it, to shift the way I see relationship.
Yeah. Talk about the specifics of that. What are the shifts in the way that you see relationships now, or your relationship in particular?
I would say one of the fear that I have, even before this relationship, is fear of abandonment, like most people, is what does that mean for me? Am I not good enough? Are you going to leave for someone else? And
Yeah.
that was huge shift for me to be able to know that no matter what, I'll always be okay. No matter
Yeah.
the relationship with another one, I will always be okay. Therefore, I don't have to live life being afraid that people would abandon. So that was a big shift. And I remember I was looking in the mirror when that shift happened. I looked in the mirror and I said, "You will be okay." And there is a shift that happened. And it allows me to step back away from leaving relationship through fear and
Oh,
what
that's beautiful.
so,
Yeah.
and then you're able to be present when we work on our fears. We can really love without fear. Something that I would not have known. Probably I could have gone like many people doing relationships with so much fear. So I'm glad that I was able to dive through or in through this crisis to be able to find out that I will be okay no matter
I love that. I think that's so important for all of us, no matter how we set up our romantic relationships. So many of us are looking to our romantic relationships to make us feel okay, or
what.
to make us feel safe, or to make us feel good enough, and all these things. And I mean, it's not unreasonable. There are so many messages in our society that posit romantic relationships as the ultimate source of validation and fulfillment and security and love and all these things. But when we learn how to navigate that differently, like you're saying, there's so much potential for a different experience of happiness and freedom and connection.
Yes. Yes, that connection, and that happiness that you mentioned, you're right on, is we become creator of our own happiness. And
Yeah.
that's dependent on our partner.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. It's powerful to know that. It's freeing to know that. So on specific fear of abandonment, I remember saying to myself, and I love, there's something about talking back to yourself and doing that work that is so powerful. I remember saying, even if you are in a senior home, like really old, you'll always find love for me, but because it's not dependent on one person.
So true. It's so true. I mean, we also, as as a society to some extent, have this belief that, like we have one true love and
Mhm,
happiness comes from one person.
mhm.
And, not to diminish the value in any individual and the unique beauty in any particular relationship. But love is a capacity, love is a quality of being and a quality of feeling. And when we know that we can generate that no matter what, life changes dramatically. And that doesn't have to diminish our enjoyment of any particular relationship or any particular person.
You're right on. And that's where a non-monogamous, non-monogamous relationship comes in. That you can love more than one person and live a fulfilled, happy life. And even then, those relationships, but there's something bigger than them. And I think that's what I have come to see even for Yammer, because that I want even to transcend it. When I say the word transcending meaning, it's because now we're moving from monogamy to polyamory to affairs to this. There's all this relationship structure, but it confined us. Each relationship have that element of confinement.
Yeah.
To go beyond that. We came in this life to do the way it feels right for us and to find out whatever way. So I think that's more powerful. Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's powerful.
That's amazing. Tell me about what you think are the key ingredients for the success of your marriage.
I would say for us is more than anything else is personal growth. For me.
Personal growth.
It's personal growth have been more powerful, I would say, the top, because it helped me learn to navigate my thought pattern, because my thoughts produces my feelings. So making assumption can cause a huge fight. So my personal growth is huge. Learning to reframe my thoughts pattern, learning to regulate my emotion, learning to know that I'm creator of my own happiness. Then we can do communication skills. Then you can set boundaries. Then you can do everything else. Yeah, I would say that.
I love it. That's central to what I teach. And I think this is true. I'm going to go out and make a very sweeping generalization. I think this is true no matter what your relationship configuration looks like. When we learn that we generate our feeling state through our thoughts rather than our feeling state being caused by an external circumstance, such as another person and whatever they do or don't do or say or don't say, everything opens up for us in a totally different way.
Yeah. Because then we're not giving meaning to events in our relationship. We're not saying, oh, you must not love me because you didn't bring me a last cake you ate with your partner or whatever it is. You can just go and say, honey, clarify for me. I'm not making any assumption. I just want to have a better understanding.
Yeah.
So we're not having these negative thoughts that tell us we're not loved, we're in danger, we're going to be alone and die lonely, all those stuff.
Right. So true. Let's step back and talk about different types of open relationships. We've talked about polyamory. I'm losing my words today. Polyamory on this show before, but that's not the only form of consensual non-monogamy out there, which, as you note in your book, is an umbrella term for many different kinds of practices. Could you take us through some of these?
So there are many forms of ethical non-monogamous, as all consensual non-monogamous. Now they have a new term for ethical non-monogamous relationship. And whether it's swinging, whether it's polyamory is one of them, which means many love. Open relationship is one of them, which means we more gravitate towards friends with benefit, but also more casual relationship. I would say my partner is more of open relationship, where I am more of polyamorous. Like I love emotional connection with my partners, and I love sexual connection as well. But emotional ingredient is very important. Mm-hmm. But for him is if we're good enough friends, that's okay. That's good enough friends. So, and also we have throuple. That's the new polyamorous couples where actually this is important because I have a client right now who they don't like the word threesome, but they say we want a throuple relationship. I say those are very two things. Threesome and throuple relationship is different because threesome can be a very casual relationship. What throuple is actually someone who you are doing relationship with is a third party.
Right.
So they were not aware. Do you know what you're asking for? Are you ready to bring someone else, a third person, in a relationship with you, or are you wanting a threesome, someone who is casual?
Yeah.
So helping clients define what they want, can help them not have misunderstanding in their relationship. So there is other times such as story. That's a story. Yeah, that's the word. SWOLLY, where mostly people will go in a sex club or sex activity and will say, hey, we're not going to sleep with other people, but let's just go make out. Let's just go use other people and bring that energy back home. So there are many times under that umbrella of ethical non-monogamous. The main thing is everyone is consenting to it.
Yeah. Right. Terrific. So let's say that a couple is considering opening their relationship up from a monogamous, God, I can't talk today, from a monogamous relationship to a non-monogamous relationship. What are some of the things you help them think through or consider or ask themselves?
So the first thing, if a couple wants from monogamous to non-monogamous, I want to know the reason for opening your relationship. What's going on? Sometimes it could be sexless marriage. It could be chronic illness that I love my partner, but I don't want their sex life to end because I can't have sex with them. Other time could be just because they find out that they are hardwired for non-monogamy, and they are owning that part of them. So finding out the reason why you want open relationship can help, because what most partner feels, especially the second partner, so not the person that is initiating the relationship, the other person starts thinking, it must be because I'm not good enough. So I need to know the reason so that I can know, no, it has nothing to do with me. It's actually your journey that you're taking. So talking about reason for opening up is important, but also having a common ground, like rules. Let's have maybe rules are different words, but let's have agreement.
Yeah.
And let's talk about those. That is important.
Yeah.
Agreement would consider to be time management, be when we children, safe sex, all those important agreements.
Yeah. Great. Are there any things you hear from couples that kind of suggest that there are red flags to be dealt with before moving towards a non-monogamous relationship?
I would say the big one will be the reality doesn't look as nice as it is on the paper. So helping clients know, are you ready to do the work? And that's important for people to know that it requires work. It requires all what we're talking about, learning to deal with emotion, communication. So it's a red flag if you just want to be in an open relationship and you don't want to do the work. That is a red flag. Another thing is if you're neglecting your relationship, your primary relationship or nesting relationship that you have, also will not go well for you. And it really will not help your partner to be able to be okay with this journey. So I would say those would be the reason for not opening, or red flag for opening a relationship. Yeah. And I know earlier on, I think what I want to know, if I know you talked about, I don't know if you want to mention that in your conversation, because you talked about affair.
Yeah.
How do you move from open relationship to affair? Or is it possible for people to do that? And I would say that it is possible, because everything is possible. I would say that.
Right. Totally agree.
But what I would say for people to consider is, are you not wanting to open your relationship because you're afraid your partner may go out with other people and you don't want to feel each other?
Right.
So I'm having an affair, but I don't want to tell my partner we open our relationship because I don't want to see them with other people. Because love is not a rational thing. Just because I want to be with other people doesn't mean in a rational I want you to be with other people.
Right.
It's a matter of heart. So in a rational mind would be like, it should be obvious. If you want to sleep with other people, your partner should sleep with other people too. But people may not want to open their relationship from affairs to polyamorous because they're not ready for that. And another reason could be because it could be very messy. You don't want to deal with the jealousy as well. You don't want to deal with all that emotion. Another thing could be that you may be afraid that your partner, if they find out, they will never let go of it.
Yeah.
So I think, can I trust that if I say let's open our relationship, that you will never get over it. You will never move from it. And this will be a discussion that we talk about another 40 years. And I don't want to live with that. I don't want to deal with that. So I think just asking yourself this question, why am I not initiating open relationship? What are my reasons? There's no bad or good reason. It's just awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness.
love
That answers the question. I feel like I went on a different direction.
No. I love that. I'll tell two things. So one is I'll tell you what I see in some couples, well, in some individuals who are transitioning from cheating to trying to figure out what to do about their marriage or their primary relationship. But then I want to talk more about the anything's possible thing because I think that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes what I see is I work with people. A lot of people come to me who are actively cheating on their partners. And then something happens sometimes, like perhaps the partner finds out about the affair or the affair is disclosed and the couple then is thrust into the situation of what do we do about our relationship? And often what I see is that the person who was doing the cheating was unhappy in the primary relationship for a long time and was either kind of trying to deal with that, but perhaps going about it in a way that wasn't terribly helpful or wasn't dealing with it at all. And
Mm-hmm.
so then, this kind of rupture happens when the affair is discovered or disclosed, and they feel bad about that. And they're concerned about their spouse's feelings, and they want to try and fix the situation for their spouse. That's actually just one flavor of what I sometimes see, not the only one. But this goes back to the thing that we've been talking about, which is when you take responsibility for your own stuff, everything changes. And what I always encourage people to do is to step back and say, okay, what if you knew that your partner would be fine no matter what, and that you would be fine no matter what? Then what would you want to do? And but more generally speaking, decide what you want to do about the primary relationship before you make a decision about whether or not to open up that relationship. In other words, opening up the relationship isn't a way to bypass anything that needs to be worked out within the primary relationship.
No, you're very right. It's not because, in fact, it adds more element to it. Now, it adds more that you may not be ready for.
Yeah.
So, open relationship doesn't cure the relationship. In some cases, it does. Let's say back a little bit. Let's say if somebody wanted freedom to express themselves, freedom to be, that could be a good way. But in terms of relationship skills, you still need to do those skills. You still need to know that work. But yes, I do love the couples that wants to or are beginning to realize that there is no one way of doing relationship. Monogamy is one structure, polyamory is another one, open relationship, non-monogamous. And sometimes people would be having an affair because the reason you're talking about, that they have been unhappy for so long. What I can say to people is that you really are okay with yourself in whatever decision you make. Because at the end, actually, I was thinking about this today. Let's say something bad was to happen, and I'm not saying something happened. Let's say like there's war on something. When that happened in that moment, you're not going to be saying to someone, by the way, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you had an affair on me, or you went out on a date with somebody else and you didn't come to comfort me. What you want to know at that moment is, are you okay? I love you. I care about you.
Yeah.
Very important, because those are the most ingredient part in a relationship. It's love. It's not whatever else. So that's what people do. And in crisis, where I see that often in relationship with clients, when crisis hits, all those extras, they go away.
Right.
And they gravitate towards each other. It's like they call who they are. And I'll say that's love.
I love that. Yeah. At the end, I mean, we're all going to die.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing here? Do we want to spend our time on this earth, like looking for reasons to be upset with ourselves, with other people? Or do we want to like learn how to let go of the shit that weighs us down, let go of everything that prevents us from experiencing love and connection and joy and intimacy?
Yes. Yeah. And I call that also the act of detachment. So
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
detaching, it doesn't mean you're not emotionally attached. It's just that you're not giving meaning to this event. You're not associating meanings to this event. I had a client one, and we're talking about polyamory, and she felt very hurt and betrayed because she wanted her husband to have sex with this other woman on specific day, like don't have sex when it's on my birthday or whatever it is. And it became really huge. She couldn't let it go. So part of it is what story do you tell yourself? It's good to communicate that, hey, I like this, attaching to it so strongly for 5 years, for 10 years. So learning to detach actually become more freer. We tend to love better.
Right.
We tend to
I
love better.
I completely agree. I always talk about how, we have the right to whatever preferences we want. We can prefer anything, but some of our preferences point us towards and align us with our highest good and the things that are really non-negotiable for us. And some of our preferences are just attachments that keep us stuck in feeling states that we don't actually like. And it's like, it's like hitting yourself over and over again and going, why does my arm hurt? Why does my arm hurt? Why does my arm hurt? Well, because we get stuck to these beliefs about how things are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these beliefs don't really make us happy when we claim to want to be happy.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. They keep us a prison of whatever is going on, and we feel we can move on. I love what you're saying is, and I think where I am in life, my happiness has become so important that I would think, is this worth my happiness? So I think that's a good way to just evaluate it. Is it worth my happiness? So
Yeah.
that's more important. That is more important. And
Yeah.
keep holding on to this. Is it worth my happiness? And someone can say, does it mean you don't have boundaries? Actually, when you live life that way, people tend to do what you want. When you detach, it's like people want to please you because there's that safety around you that they want to do what you want, and you're not demanding them. They just want to please you.
I love that. I think that's such an important thing to point out. People are so, we humans, not other people, all of us, we're so terrified sometimes of letting go of control. But, at the end of the day, control is ultimately an illusion. And there's so much more power in trust. And that starts with trusting ourselves. And when we can do that, like you said, it's so attractive when you're around someone who is completely in line with their own integrity, and they trust themselves and they trust life. They trust the universe to work out, even if it's not always exactly how they think it should be all the time. Like, that is so powerful. When you meet someone like that, it's incredible.
Yeah. And you want to be there with them, and you want to love them, and you want to, so yeah. And when they don't have to ask for all this because it's given.
Yeah.
It's a paradox of letting go to get it back, and trusting the way you're trusting.
Yeah.
That goes back to working on ourselves. That's why I say personal growth is so important in any relationship, in whatever you are in life, to just beginning that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that, even in terms of having a spiritual practice. And I know that for some people that has certain meanings associated with it. But what I'm talking about in the most sort of general sense is just having a sense of connection to something greater than yourself. Having a sense of connection between you as a small part and the whole as something bigger and all encompassing that we're all a part of.
Yes, I agree with that. But spirituality doesn't mean in a form of religion practices. It's connecting with the essence of who we are, the inner self. And that's the power that relies about. A newspaper did an interview, a local newspaper did an interview of my relationship with my partner. And one thing I say to them is, he came in this life to do his own life, and I came in this life to do my own life. And hopefully together we can do side by side each other and other people in our life in an open relationship. But he has his own journey and I have my own journey. And what we do sometimes we micromanage and hey, well, you do the life this way. But this person came to this life to do your own journey. And so do all the listener or people who are listening today. They came in this life to do their own journey and making it as good as that and focusing on their journey. And hopefully you can share once in a while. You can intertwine with each other, sharing those joy, but really focusing on how can I really be happy in wherever I am as a whole person and connecting with the essence of who we are.
Yes, I love that. And I completely agree. When we enter a committed relationship with someone, we're not like intertwining and that we give up ourselves. We're going on a journey together. And that's a very intimate and connected thing. But I was talking with some relationship coaches a few weeks ago. They were on the podcast and they talk about how, if you don't have 2 whole people or 3 whole people in a relationship, the math starts to get funny, or however many people. You have to be a whole person if you want to have a whole relationship.
Oh, yes, I agree. And then any form, then you decide, it just becomes blissful in a relationship. It doesn't, whether it's monogamous, non-open relationship, something else. Like it just becomes I see my relationship is easy. I find it easy. I find doing relationship very easy. I could make it very hard. I know all the keys. I know all the button to press.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. It's certainly possible to make relationships really hard.
But I like living in a happy relationship. So.
Yeah.
So.
That's beautiful. There's one thing I want to make sure to point out here. And I imagine you'll agree with me, but if you don't, please say so. And that's that, we're talking about how there's so much happiness possible when we let go of our ideas of how things should be. But I also want to emphasize that you have the right to your preferences. Like not everyone has to want to be in a non-monogamous relationship. Not everyone has to be okay with staying in a relationship with someone who has stepped out of the relationship. In addition to working with people who are cheating, I also work with people who have been cheated on. And sometimes they say to me like, I feel like I should just be okay with all of this. Like it should just be fine with me. And I say, no, like you get to choose. If this is not okay with you, that's okay. There is no imperative for you to try and fit yourself into a mold of someone else or someone else's preferences.
I totally agree with you. A good analogy I have, and I usually use it in the session with my client, is I would draw this mountain for my client. I would say, imagine there's this mountain and you're on the bottom of the mountain and you feel so little, like a little ant. And no matter what you've done, you cannot get out of it. And I would say, next to your mountain, step away from whatever is bothering you, not avoiding it. You're very aware of it. But then when you begin this journey of personal growth, meditation, reframing your thought pattern, core beliefs, changing all that, affirmation exercise, all those personal growth, when you reach on the top, beyond the mountain, then you can see better. You're able to see other relationships. Maybe you're able to decide, why am I here? There's so many beautiful things there. I can easily end this relationship, or I see there's other connection out there. So actually doing personal growth will help you let go of those relationships that doesn't serve you. It also help you change on yourself to be able to know, actually the problem was me. Or actually the problem was not me. I'm really in a good place as this relationship and I don't have to be here. There's beautiful other things there in life. So you can't go wrong with personal growth.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, what I always say is, our relationship with ourselves is the foundation of all of our other human relationships. And so if there's ever something amiss in your other relationships, instead of trying to fix or change that relationship, the better thing to do is to look at your relationship with yourself and attend to that.
And when you do that, then those relationships that needs to go, it will be more easier to let go.
Exactly.
It will be so easy to let go. And boundaries, you said just healthy boundaries. Like when people hear talking, you say, don't you have boundaries? Don't you have things? I say, my boundaries are very clear because I'm not going to even be negotiating. I'm not going to be asking for permission for they just who I am.
Right.
If they're yelling at me, I won't be there to be yelled at because I feel at peace to go somewhere else.
Right.
So,
Right. I love that.
But I'm not going to be fighting with you how to treat me. I'm just going to remove myself from the equation.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I think that's so important. We make this big deal about like, well, if they do this thing to me, then that's bad. It's like, well, you have a choice. And that doesn't mean that leaving the relationship will be free from discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Like we don't get that option in life. Like there is no like option in living that is totally free of ever having an uncomfortable emotion. Sorry. Like,
oh yeah,
that isn't the point. The point is that when we take responsibility for what we have the power to control, everything gets easier. And there's so much less drama associated with it.
It's so true. And when those difficult conversation comes, we start with because it's an opportunity to grow. So meaning you're very right. There's always going to be that thing, but now we don't have to be afraid. And now we can do more and begin. And we can go. So it's become fun.
Right. I love it. Yeah. It becomes fun. It becomes like, well, like, in what is it in Sanskrit? I think it's God's Leela. It's God's play. We're all just part of the cosmic dance, kind of like riding the waves of the cosmic sea. It's not like, oh my God, this is the way it's supposed to be. And it's not happening like this. And what does this mean about me? And what does this mean about my life? And I hate everything. And I hate you. Not to put too fine a point on it or anything.
I like the way you describe it because that's how it feels. That's how it feels for most people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't mean to make light of it. I don't mean to make it sound like I'm criticizing people for being in that place. I've certainly been in that place. And it's very real when we're stuck in that kind of a thought pattern or a thought prison. It's all very real. And you don't have to stay in it.
No, you don't. Yeah, there's so much life has to offer. You don't. So working on yourself for sure. I keep going. I'm so in love with that journey. I keep going back to that. It's a secret sauce to life. I really do believe that.
It's so true. I couldn't agree more. And it's so funny. It's like anything in life can be a portal into that, whether it's, changing your relationship configuration or the end of a relationship or the beginning of a relationship or the loss of a relationship or things that don't even have to do with romantic relationships. But if we use anything that happens in our life that rubs us the wrong way or challenges us as an opportunity for spiritual growth, the whole nature of the situation changes.
Yes, it does. And we enjoy them. Yeah, we enjoy them.
Yeah. Susan, what a pleasure talking with you today. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's fun. It was fun talking to you too.
Thanks. Remind everyone where they can look you up if they want to learn more about you and find your new book.
So you can get my new book if you Google. So there's so many places that they're selling my book. But if you just Google Susan Wenzel or A Happy Life in an Open Relationship, Susan Wenzel, you'll find it. Also on my website at susanwenzel.ca. Yeah. And I also do Zoom session and all that. I do help people who want to open their relationship and transition them in a way that is healthy for them. So yeah, we do that as well.
Great. Thanks so much, Susan. And thanks to everyone for listening. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, we hope you'll head on over to iTunes to rate and review the show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me with Dr. Marie Murphy. Make sure to click subscribe to get updates on our latest episodes.